I'm Theresa Bromm-Boesen. Welcome to Basket Weaving Class 1. This is an introductory class of round reed basketry, so this instruction is designed for beginners, and it will introduce you to some of the vocabulary of basket weaving. I've already crossed these spokes that we're going to use to build our basket, and I want to introduce you to the different size reeds that we are going to use. So normally when I make a basket, I'm using this reed, which is a number 4 reed. It's larger, it's flexible still, but it's not quite as flexible as the ones that we're using. And the reason we're using these number 3 reed is because the number 3 reed is more flexible, and I wanted that for a smaller basket. Okay, this is a number 2 reed. This is very fine and very flexible, and we use that for the base of the basket, which we're using right here. The number 3 reed that we're using for this particular small basket is this reed here. This comes in this neutral color when I get it, but I hand dye it myself so I can have a variety of colors, because I like the fun of that, and I hope that you will too. These are some examples of baskets in which I've used this smaller reed, number 3, and woven it into a flexible little basket using different colors and different methods. So here we've woven it to be striped on the bottom and a little bit checkerboard on the top, okay? This one, as you can see, is striped throughout, and we do different toppings on it. So this is a rolled top, this is a braided top, and this is a scallop top. A little more decorative, a little more time consuming, but it makes a really pretty basket. And you can see that I've used the checkerboard pattern on this basket altogether. This basket I brought to show you that it's essentially the same basket, only a different dimension, a larger size, very pretty. It's got the checkerboard on the top and the bottom. And then around the middle, I've skipped a spoke to give this long reed stitch that you see on that basket. These are the supplies that we're going to use for our class. These are the towels that we're going to use because this is a wet craft. We're going to use an apron. This is a pipe cleaner, and I'll show you the use for that as we continue. You're going to need to measure. You're going to measure reed. I've already measured it for you, but you need to re-measure it to make sure, because in shipment it's going to shift. These are the tools we're going to use. Mostly this little bead cutter is a very useful tool, and we're going to use that throughout the basketry. This is a round-nosed plier, another beading tool, very helpful for bending. This is going to press. If you need to bend a larger reed, you're going to be able to press it with this or with this tool right here. This is a little softer tool to use, especially if you're using a finer reed. And this is your soaking tub. Very important. You're going to soak your reed to make it soft and flexible. Okay. Once that reed is flexible, now we can go ahead and weave. We're going to use warm water. I don't really like hot for my reed because it can tend to bleed a little bit. So this water is warm. There'll be a little bleeding, but once that reed is dry, you're good to go. There's a little something about what we're going to do today. So in your kit, you will find something that looks like this. This is the beginning of your basket. I've put it together for you to begin. The way that it goes is that when I'm winding it, and you'll see this, so I'm doing, and unwind it a little bit so you can see how it goes. I'm going to put this reed behind me as the beginning reed, right there. I'm going to hold it, and then I'm going to start to wind it around, okay? The vertical is facing me, the horizontal is facing that way. And now we're gonna start to wrap. And it's gonna go over, under, over, under, over, under. So you'll just be able to see it. As it comes around to 4 times, and you've completed your 4th time around, you're gonna divide this, and you're gonna lock your weaver right in there like that, okay? This is the inside of the basket where you see this little guy sticking out. That's the inside of your basket. So your basket is gonna go like this, and that's gonna be the inside of your basket. That's where it's gonna sit. So you can see that, and that's where we're heading. Meanwhile, you're just gonna lock that in there. I've soaked my reed for quite a few minutes. I'm gonna say 10 minutes to make it really pretty flexible. If this is a number 3 reed, I'm gonna remind you, this is a number 2 reed. If you use something larger, you'll have to soak for a little longer. Because these particular reeds are dyed, they're gonna bleed a little bit. Please don't do basket weaving on a carpet. Do it in your kitchen, do it on your porch, do it wherever you need to do it, on your patio, where if anything bleeds, it's not gonna hurt your flooring. Okay, so now that we're here, I'm gonna go back to my measuring tool. All right, these are 2 feet. These are all 2 feet. But now that I've put this circular reed around it to tie it on, now I've gotta measure this. And this should come down to about 11. It should be, you know, just past 10, 10 3/4 to 11. And make sure that it's that length on every side. If you find that it's not, and you feel, oh boy, one is really short, then you need to pull that reed individually. Just yank it forward to make sure they're all lined up. See if everything is okay, because they do shift during travel. Okay, so by the time they get to you, you're gonna have to re-measure. But don't be too crazy about it, because we're gonna cut off at least a 1/2 inch of this reed by the time we get to the end, if not an inch sometimes. So, depending on the kind of edge we put on the basket. Okay, so I'm gonna call it pretty good, and good. All right, I'm facing that away from me. That's the inside of the basket once again. And now I've got another one, a companion, that's been soaking. This is flexible. I'm gonna open this one up. And while I'm doing this, I'm also gonna throw in my other reed to soak, which is right here. So I'm gonna keep that flexible, but I don't want it to be mushy. Don't let it get mushy, because then you won't be able to work with it and you've compromised it. I'm gonna reiterate what I said a little bit earlier. First, we're on the back side of the basket. In other words, we're on the inside of the basket right now. And this is vertical and horizontal behind. I've taken this and begun to wind it this way. We're always gonna be winding from left to right, okay? So I want you to see what it looks like on the inside of the basket. That's what it looks like. And then I flip it over, and now I'm going to start to weave over, under, with my number 2 reed around my number 3 reed. And the reason I've chosen this reed for this project is because it's very flexible, and it's a small basket, small little basket. I feel like I'm gonna have to measure again. Once we come around to 4 times, we're gonna open this up, because I've got 6 here, and I'm gonna go 3 and 3. I'm gonna push that toward the middle so it's locked. So now we're on the inside of the basket. It's gonna look like this when we're done. Let me get my hands out of the way. see if you can see it. That's what it's gonna look like. A little hard to see. There you go. But now I'm gonna flip it over and I'm gonna face the outside of the basket toward me, which is putting the horizontal on top. Okay, the vertical behind. I feel like it shifted a little bit. I'm gonna go back and measure. Make sure I've got my 11 on one side and 11 on the other. Yeah, I'm pretty good. I'm now soaking the companion reed. Make sure it's nice and flexible. You have this in your kit. I'm gonna open it up. And we're gonna start to separate these 3 and 3 as we go around. So the number 2 weaver is facing me, okay? We're going to put another number 2 weaver that you have in your kit right behind that section of 3, because we're gonna start to divide these into 3 and 3. Can you see that clearly? Now we're gonna hold that weaver in the back. This is now the weaver that's on top. That's gonna go under the next 3. And this will follow on top. Do you see how that just twisted right there? Do you see how that twisted right there? This is twining, okay? Now this weaver's on top and we're gonna go under the next 3. And we're gonna pull it tight toward the center, okay? We're gonna divide the next section into 3s. This is on top, that's gonna go under, and the other follows on top. Keep holding these. Right now it's a little challenging, but once you get around one time, it won't be challenging. You'll know exactly what you're doing. This is on top, the next section is 3. It's gonna go under and move toward the middle. We're almost around. Okay, this is on top. The next section is 3. We're gonna go under, and then this weaver comes on top. All right, I want you to start to see what's happening now. You can let go a little bit because we've made it all around once. Okay, we're gonna take the next section and we're gonna continue. This is on top. It's now gonna go underneath. Move that toward the center. If you feel like your reed is getting a little stiff, put it back in the water. Just keep that section out. This goes. I'm gonna put mine back in the water because it needs to soak. It's starting to tangle and it's starting to get a little too dry. Okay, I'm gonna shake that and that. Now we're back. It untangled itself, okay? I want you to start to see that we're starting to get the spokes of a wheel I'm gonna measure this again. I feel like it's shifting on me, so don't be afraid to do this. Keep measuring. You're okay. Just this little one was causing me pickles. That's a little short there. I'm gonna pull it back slightly. All right. That's gonna go over under. You can see it's starting to come into the shape that I want it to be for the bottom of the basket. This is over, it's gonna go under that next section, and that follows. Under. So as you go around, you'll find that the only one you really have to be concerned about is the one that's on top, because it's always gonna go under. And this will follow. Now this one's on top. That's gonna go under, and that will follow. So twining the bottom of this basket is what's going to give it the original strength. This is the hardest part of doing the basket. So if you're frustrated at this part, you're in good company. It takes time to learn this part. And you need to just keep doing it over and over again until you feel confident and you understand how it's put together. So don't be frustrated thinking you can't do it at this point, because this is the hardest part. Goes under, and see how I'm pulling it tight each time around. Okay, we've completed 3, we're going for 4. Stop for a minute, make sure that your spokes are well spaced, evenly spaced. This reed is a palm plant that grows in Indonesia and Malaysia. And then they send it to Singapore and Hong Kong to process. And this palm plant grows like 300 feet. And it's a thorny plant, but once it's been processed, they get all the thorns off it. It's nice and smooth and clean, and then it goes to market. And that's what we end up with in order to weave our baskets. I'm gonna count now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see if I can go one more time around here. And then I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so we're gonna go one more time. Now for you, you may be able to go 8 times around, and that's fine. Go ahead and go 8 times around if that's what you're finding out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. I'm done because I'm coming to a short read now. So I'm going to be done with that. I'm going to cut this off. Here's your tool to cut it off. Move that aside. We're going to keep this nice and flat. And actually what we're going to do is we're going to tuck this in. So we're not always going to be tucking all of our weavers in, but this one, it's nice to tuck in because then you don't have to worry about it anymore. I'm going to bend it with my fingernail. In case you don't have a tool, this is very flexible. All right? And I want to go over, and then this is going to be an under. So you can see that's the over and the under. So this is the over. Be careful of this reed. It is delicate and can snap. This is the tool that's in your kit. I'm going to use it like an awl, A-W-L, and I'm going to just put that in there nice and tight, okay? All right. Be careful. This is over, under, and then this one, you don't want to press it too hard because it can crack, especially if it's too dry. I'm going to cut that off. I'm going to open this up here so it can fit in. up. Fit it in. It's a little long. Shorten it. Open it up. Fit it in. Oops. All right, now they're tucked in. I'm gonna soak this again. Because from this point on, as we're creating the base, we're going to add a colored weaver. I've got some weaver that's been soaked right here. Now when I'm at home, and I did mention it to you, please don't do this on your carpet, because this is dyed. It's fabric dye, basically. And it will dye your carpet if you do this on carpet. So please do it in your kitchen or someplace where it's safe. I'm gonna soften this again. It's getting a little, it dries out rather quickly and then you have to plop it back in your water. I also change my water often if I'm using different colored reed in case there's any bleed. I don't want my, green reed in my red water. I'm gonna flip this over now to this side. You see, remember we had these over here. So now we're gonna cut this a little bit shorter. This is the inside of our basket. We're gonna cut that a little bit shorter. Always make sure it's going over the one it intended to go over. All right, that's gonna sit at the bottom of the inside of your basket. So nobody's gonna see that. That's just the bottom. But it looks good. Everything looks like it's even around. All these look great. They're spread nicely. And now that I tucked those in, I've tucked them in right here. That's where we can pick up. Now I'm going to introduce some color reed. Now this reed, unlike the number 2 reed, is actually the same size as the basket spokes. So this is a different experience. So where we've left off, here's the last weaver we left off. We're going to put it on the left and the right, just like we did before we started weaving the under-over business. So it'll look like that, okay? And now we're gonna flip it over. We're gonna go to the inside of the basket, and we're gonna use our pipe cleaner, and we're gonna just wrap that around it so we don't lose it while we're doing that. Open it back up, flip it back over again. There we go, sorry. So it should look like this. That pipe cleaner is gonna be in the back. Don't let it be distracting for you right now. Okay, now we're gonna do the exact same motion that we did before, except now we're just gonna layer. We're not twisting particularly, a little bit of twist. Oh, we are twisting. Hold on. Okay, we've got our weavers in place. Here's where we left off, and we're gonna do the same method as we go around, okay? This is on top, it's gonna go under the next spoke, and that's gonna follow. We need to pull it tight. Let's keep that down for just a second. It's a little easier for you. Okay, this is on top, it's gonna go under, that's gonna go over. And you're gonna continue to turn it to keep that. Okay, put a little pressure on there because it wants to jump up. That's gonna go under, that's gonna go over. Once we're around one time, you're gonna be free of that pipe cleaner, so you'll be okay. This is on top, it's gonna go under the next section and on top. Over and under. Yep, sorry. Over, under, over, okay. This is on top, goes under. This is on top, it goes under. That back. Once we round it again, we're going to get rid of the pipe cleaner. One more time around. I'm going to hold this up now, because now I'm just going to hold it back with my hand. You're going to keep it pretty flat right now. We're going to go around again. I'm going to take this pipe cleaner off because it's giving me fits. I'm going to hold that with my fingers. We're coming around the third time. So they'll be a little hard to manipulate if they're too stiff. Make sure you're taking your time to soak your weavers. Once we reach the third time around, which we're coming to right now, we are going to measure. Okay, we're 3 times around. We're going to flatten it down. And there's our base. Should be about 4 inches. So you'll be able to see that. I'm going to flip it over now. And I'm going to get rid of these because they're too long and they're driving me crazy. You're going to cut them at an angle. All right. Now that you've got the base of your basket, I'm gonna have to hold this now. You can cut this off again. And you can tuck these in. So I'm gonna just bend it slightly. I'm gonna tuck it in right there. And the other one. Okay, we have now come around to 3 times. We've measured it. We'll do it again. We're at 4 inches. That's perfect. If you have enough number 2 reed to continue this entire circle for 4 inches, please do that, because this reed is, you know, it's heavier. It's a heavier thing to do. I'm going to use this tool. I'm using this as a spacer. I'm going to open that up. I'm going to tuck this one in. Okay, right behind the other one. I'm gonna lift it into that space right there. Okay, I've already cut this one off. I've bent it and I'm gonna tuck it in here and put my spacer in, put that in. And tuck that in, nice and tight. So now they're in there nice and tight. All right.
Oh, sorry.
Yep, and they're tucked right in here. At the bottom of your basket. All right. Now we're gonna flip over, we cut these two. If you find that your pipe cleaner is too long, go ahead and cut it. If that was too long when we tied it, just cut it, make it a little shorter so it's not in your way. Okay, this is the inside of the basket. You can see the ends in the inside of the basket, all right? But now we are about to start to form the basket. So we're gonna put the inside of the basket facing out, and this is how it's gonna go. I'm gonna try to pick this up in a way that you can see. So it looks like that, and these will all kind of come in toward the center, and your basket starts to form. All right, so the first thing I want you to do is soak your reed. That's the first part. We're gonna continue with yellow on the bottom of this basket. All right, you can begin with any color that you choose. You have quite a selection in your kit. I'm gonna start to bend this a little bit. I'm gonna go around, gonna bend, 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 bend slightly. If it's not bending easily, it's too dry. You need to re-soak it. So we're gonna stick it in here to re-soak a little bit, because reed will crack and it'll snap. So keep it wet. All right. I'm gonna take some more reed. I always just throw my reed on the floor next to me. That way I can just grab it. I just put a towel on the floor and throw it down. I'm gonna grab two more. Okay, and now as we're facing this away from us, I'm gonna go to either side of the top, okay? I'm gonna get my pipe cleaner again. I'll get a smaller one this time. I think that last one was too big. And hopefully it wasn't confusing for you. Okay, I'm gonna hold that down. And now we're still gonna go from we're gonna go from left to right again in the same method as we did before. But we're starting at the top now. We're gonna go, if this is over, it's gonna go under, over, under. Don't forget to hold it down the best that you can as you're going around.
pipe cleaner shedding a little bit. You can also just use a twist tie. If the pipe cleaner's not working for you, if it's too bulky, you can just use a little twist tie to hold it back there so it's not in your way. You've come around full circle now. And as you turn, you're going to start to put pressure on the spokes. So as we go around the basket, we're going to start to push. Put a little torque on there. We're still doing that over under, but now we're pushing down. Each time we wrap it, we're pushing. Wrap and push. Wrap. And it does get tangled up. And push. Wrap and push. And I'm also kind of squishing it down nice and tight. Make sure you're keeping your spokes straight. That's the other thing. They'll start to lean. I see this one is starting to lean right. And I don't want it to lean right. Keep moving it in this direction. Now the basket's starting to form. Move it to the left a little if you have to. The spokes that are moving to the right, straighten them out, moving to the left. You're putting pressure on your basket as you're going. I'm going to pick up another color and get it ready to soak. I'm going to pick up another color and get it ready to soak. All right, I think we're good. We will push that in closely. Make sure that's looking nice and neat on the bottom where we've bent our reed to put in. I've come to the end of this yellow, but I want to continue in yellow for the bottom of this basket. So this basket's going to have a little bit different look than the basket that I showed you in the beginning of this recording, just because I'm going to use my artistic ability to say, well, I don't want to do that color, I'm going to stick with yellow for now. So this is going to go inside. We're going to take a count for just a minute. Let's see what we got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm gonna flip it over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think we're good. I'm gonna just stick that in there for now. Get it out of my way. I'm gonna take the next two to the left and the right. I'm gonna hold it as I did before. So this little twist tie right here can go away. I'm going to get another twist tie, or get that same one, and just once again hold it with the twist tie. I don't normally do this, but I think it's helpful when you're first learning to do that. It'll help keep it in place. You won't be fighting with it slipping out of your hands. All right, so the last spoke that we went over is right here. So I'm going to the next spoke, all right? And I'm gonna keep doing this method. Over, under, over, under. If your spokes lean, straighten them out. You can see the bottom of the basket is starting to form. So I feel like this is exactly what we want to do. Let me get a little closer in. See how it's starting to set up? This is called upset, although it's not upsetting. That's what they call it. You're upsetting the spokes. This is when it starts to get a little faster. Make sure you're still putting pressure on those sides as you're going up. I'm going to take a look at it, see how I'm doing. I'm going to pause for a minute. I'm going to cut some of these long pieces here. They don't need to be long anymore. They can be just cut right out. Make sure that you're putting the exact amount of pressure as much as possible on all sides of your basket. All right, I'm going to continue on. So now I'm starting to check to make sure I've got as much tension on one side as the other, that I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to be doing to keep it looking good. There's the bottom, it looks good. I always roll my basket on the side because that way I can kind of keep my pressure on it. I feel like if I just set it upright, it's not working for me, but it may work for you. You'll find the way that works for you best. And I've given you some pretty long 7-foot reed for the most part, and that should keep you from having to add too many additional reeds and have loose ends inside of your basket. I hope that works out well for you. All right, we're gonna go back. I'm going to tuck this inside, and I'm going to just count from the bottom. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Let me flip it to the other side. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I think we're good. We're going to stop right there. All right, I'm going to remove this little black twisty tie. Going to go in here. So when I go in here to trim, I look at this and I go, okay, these are long and I'm going to trim them out. Make sure you're pulling them away. Make sure, first of all, they go over. So I'm going to show you this right here. This one needs to go over this spoke right here. I don't know if you can see that. I know it's a little hard. Cut it at an angle, but lift it out. So I want to show you this. Lift it away to make sure that you're not cutting your basket. And once it's cut, it'll settle right in there. Okay, here's another one. This is really long. I'm going to cut this at an angle. This at an angle. And then it will settle in. It just settles in like it's part of the basket. because it is part of the basket. Oh, it's the inside of the basket. Let's look at this one. What's this one doing? Okay, those are the two I just put in. Then there's this one. This is pretty long. I'm gonna go ahead and cut that where it turns a corner. And then everybody's pretty settling in now. Okay. Move this out of the way. I like to stay kind of neat and organized because this reed can get awfully tangly. I'm just gonna stick that in there for now. And now I'm gonna pick up some green reed. I'm gonna pick up actually one green and one yellow. And I'm gonna save another yellow for later on. I'd like to maybe even do some kind of accent with it, excuse me. All right, so there's the inside of your basket. There's the side of your basket, looking good. The bottom of your basket, looking good. All right. Now I'm gonna show you if I put the green on the left and the yellow on the right, what's gonna happen is that it will start to create a pattern when you're around a couple of times. And I'm not using the twisty tie. I've got enough going on here that I feel like it's starting to stay all by itself now. It's not ready to jump. Go around. And it'll double up there where you first started it. Pretty soon you'll see the pattern. I'm still pushing on the sides of my basket to make sure I'm still shaping it. I'm putting it gentle. I'm not pressing too hard, but I'm staying firm. All right, I'm feeling like I better start counting. Let's see what's going on. We've got 4 there, got 4 there. I'm gonna tuck that in for just a minute. Time to count. 2, 3, 4, 5, 4. There's 4 there. There's actually 5 there, but that's where that's gonna read as 1 actually, because that's how we landed with it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I want to just have 4, so let's see. 4, 4, 4. This is going to read as 1. That's 4. That's 4. And I say we're done, so let me get this out of here. All right, I should have 4 all the way around, 4 green all the way around. I'm gonna cut that now. Get rid of this excess. If you see these little hairs coming up, make sure you cut them. Don't pull them, because you'll rip your reed and it won't work out for you. All right, so we're gonna straighten this again. So I'm gonna show you this on the white table. See if that, I wanna make sure that it's sitting solid on a surface, okay? If it's not sitting solid, then I'm gonna have to punch up the bottom a little bit to make sure it is. But this happens to be sitting solid on the surface, and that's working out for me. I'm gonna cut some of that hairy stuff that's coming off of the reed. Okay. I'm gonna measure the length of my spokes now. What have I got? Oh, about 7 inches around. I think this would be a nice time to add a little red for an accent. I've soaked my green. Now I'm soaking my red. Now let me find myself. Where did I leave off? Oh, I left off right here. So let's see. Okay, there's where I left off, which means I'm gonna just stick that in there. We're gonna pick up right next to it. And we're gonna do 2 reds now. I'm gonna just hold my reds down. And I'm gonna go around. You know, I've decided on something else. So here's what I'd like to do with the reds. I'm gonna skip a spoke. I'm gonna make a longer stitch of weave. So I'm gonna go around this one. I'm gonna skip that and behind. Up. And behind. I'm gonna skip this one and I'm gonna go behind that one. Every other one is gonna get a wrap. There's this one, I'm gonna skip this spoke and I'm gonna go behind this one. Gives a little different syncopation. You'll see when I'm done. Okay, we're coming out from behind this one. We're gonna skip that one and we're gonna go over. Now we've made it all the way around. Behind this one. It's coming out from this one. We're gonna skip that. We're gonna take the one that goes over top and put it behind there. Make sure they don't get too loose on you. Okay, we're coming out behind this one. Out behind this, we're gonna skip this one, every other one. Now you can try this or you can just stick with what you've been doing before. That is entirely up to you. That's where your creativity is gonna come in. We're coming out from behind this one. Let's skip that and come around here. When I'm around twice, I'm gonna cut it off. And then I'm gonna do, okay, I'm behind this, coming out from behind this one. Skip that and go around. Tuck that in. All right. I'm gonna now get 2 greens and I'm gonna go back to my original pattern. So I'm gonna go, here's where we come behind, right here, this one, this spoke, we're gonna go here. And we're gonna go over under. I'm gonna hold this one down. Hold this down. Under. Over under. We're gonna lock that red in because that red's a little loosey-goosey. I want to pull this out a little bit, make sure it's not collapsing in on itself. I feel like it's getting time for me to count. So I'm going to stick this in here. Meanwhile, I'm going to go back and cut some of this because this is getting crazy in here. I'm going to cut this at an angle, clean up some of these wild ends in here. Cut these red things. Because it starts to look a little garbagey inside, then you can't see what the heck's going on. So there you go. Now this starts to lock in a little bit. All right, I'm going to count my green now. I have to cut some of these little hairs off. Okay, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I like to go to the opposite side and see if we got 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got a 4 here. 1, 2, 3, 4. We got 2 4s. Let's see if I can make it around to a couple more. 2, 3. Now let's try it. 4, 4, 4. I feel like I gotta take that last one off. I wanna make sure I have 4 and not 5 and check the top of it. All right, 3, 4, 3, 4. And now I'm here. Okay, good. So now we're gonna tuck that in. I'm gonna cut that off. It's very long. Shake all that down, get rid of all this garbage. All right, now let's see how it's laying. Pretty good there. Now we're gonna tuck that in. We're gonna straighten this out again. And now I'm gonna get another green and yellow. I'm gonna soak it for a minute. Now we're gonna do it on this side. Last time the green was on the left, I believe, and the yellow was on the right. Let me give it a shot here. I'm gonna hold this down. We're gonna go every one. Put a good squeeze. gonna stop for a second and measure my spokes. Okay, I think another inch, and we're gonna wrap it up. All right, I'm coming up to 4 yellow. Let's see what I've got here. Call that, we're gonna read that as 1. We're gonna do 1 more yellow there. We have to sort of make 1 more yellow where we tie on there, because otherwise the top of our basket won't be straight. And I think we're there. So that should be 4 yellow all around. We're going to cut that off. We're going to read this as 1 where we tied it on. Okay, make sure that red is in there tightly enough. Don't let it slip down onto the yellow. Gonna tuck those in, and then we're just gonna do a review of what's going on here and see if we like it. And all right, see if there's anything more to cut. That's a loose one. Cut that one. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to tuck this green in right here. I'm going to bend it slightly, cut it, bend it, get my tool, put my tool in here, make room for that to go in, push it over. This one's going to go over top. I'm actually going to put that one right here. I'm going to bend it right there. Cut it. Put it right there. Out. And now I'm just going to play with my basket a little bit here. I'm going to squish it and lift it and move it around, make sure that it's looking pretty even all around. So I'm just going to go inside my basket. I'm going to cut any long ends that are in there that I really need to cut to clean it up. Push them all into the ends there. That's good. Make them nice and neat on the inside of the basket. And then I'm going to soak my spokes here. So I'm going to kind of measure. I like these spokes to actually be about 5 inches, 5.5 maybe. So I might just kind of go here and trim them off just a little bit at the ends. So now we're finishing the basket. I'm going to take this spoke of 3, put it behind that one. This spoke of 3, put it behind that one. This spoke of 3, put it behind that one. We're going to move all the way around the basket. This spoke of 3, put it behind that one. Spoke of 3, put it behind that one. Spoke of 3, put it behind that one. Keep it flat. Don't let it curl over itself, which it likes to do. Okay. Whoop. All right, spoke of 3 behind that one. And then this final spoke will go underneath that one and out. We're gonna keep it flat so it looks like that. Now we're gonna put pressure on it. Push it on down. Make sure all your spokes are flat. All flat all the way around. Are you getting it? Now we're gonna take this right here and we're gonna put it underneath that hole. We're gonna put it in that hole right there. And I'm gonna mark that with my little, because that was my first one, I'm just gonna mark it like that, right there. So I know where I started, okay? We're gonna take this one, we're gonna gently bend it and put it in there, just like that, right? Keep it flat. Push down. Okay, this one is going over the top of this and under here. Doesn't want to stay flat. I'm gonna have to make it stay flat. There you go. Okay. This is gonna go right in there. It's gonna go right in here, number 3, over and in that hole. This one is gonna go right in here. Back in there. Back in there. A little stiff right now. This one is gonna go in there. This one is gonna go in here. When you're done with your basket and you have your rim finished, you want to go back into your basket, keep moving it around a little, press on the top, just settle it down. Just settle it down so it sits properly. Give it a little squeeze tight, make sure it's nice and plumb. And there is your basket. And we hope you love it. We hope it was fun for you. And I liked making it for you. And I hope you enjoyed doing it as well. There's your basket. Top, bottom, looking good. Thank you so much. So here is the basket that we've completed today with some variety, I hope, of your own creation. And I hope you enjoyed the class. It was fun for me. And I feel like we got a pretty little basket with a pretty top on it and a pretty bottom. It looks great. And I feel like we're good to go. And I hope to see you again for another class. Thank you so much for joining us. Bye-bye. Have a great day.